conscious progress in faith-based diplomacy in recognition of significant and sustained contributions to the cause of peace at the annual conference in San Diego.
Well, good afternoon. Shalom, salam alaikum, peace be with you. As the founding director, I and my colleagues, the Reverend Canon Brian Cox and Professor Michael Zachariah, all of us from the Strauss Institute for Dispute Resolution at the Law School at Pepperdine University, we're overwhelmed. We're deeply, deeply appreciative to receive the Peacemaker Award from the National Association for Conflict Resolution. The Pachas Project is a collaborative work with strategic partners here in the United States and across the Middle East, chief among which is the International Center for Religion and Diplomacy in Washington, D.C. Pachas addresses intractable identity-based conflicts that exceed the grasp of legal remedy and traditional diplomacy by effectively combining the transcendent power of religion with the practice of international diplomacy. Our approach is neither interfaith dialogue or traditional mediation. Rather, it's the bringing together of the peace traditions of the three Abrahamic faiths, gathered as 8 core values that they share. And then from there, we call those we engage with to live up to the highest and best of their respective faiths. We were traveling in the Middle East, in Amman, Jordan, and working there, and had a real interest in meeting the Secretary General of the International Leadership of the Muslim Brotherhood. And after several years of overtures to this gentleman, and after taking 2 or 3 taxi cabs around town, and we didn't know where we were going, but we finally wound up in front of a nondescript gray building in another part of town, and were ushered in to meet this gentleman, a 63 to 65-year-old bearded, turbaned individual who, in my estimation, could field dress an AK-47 blindfolded and probably had used one, who considered us the enemy. And we were ushered into his office, and he asked us, "Why do you want to meet with me? Why do you want to engage with the Muslim Brotherhood?" And our response was pretty direct and pretty simple. We looked him in the eye, and we said, "Politics has made enemies of us. And yet my faith says that I am supposed to love you. And I can't love you without knowing you." His response was to begin weeping. He said, "No one, especially from the West, has ever spoken to me that way." And what was supposed to be a 20-minute meet and greet and ceremonial tea turned into a 2-hour conversation with my colleagues and I and this gentleman. That's the kind of work that we're engaged in. And our conversation is to look individuals in the face, to look individuals in the heart, and say, "I've read the books. I know what religion is. I know what your religion is. But tell me about your faith. What do you believe? Who are you?" and then we begin the work. And our work is to bring committed hearts together, people of disparate perspectives, be they Palestinian or Israeli, be they Muslim, Shia, Sunni, whatever they are, Christian Palestinians, Muslim Palestinians, people who on the surface are at each other, and to create a place of peace, and then to have a conversation about what they truly believe. It's not shrinking away from the very, very difficult and painful experiences that they have. But it's then to ask them, according to the highest and best of your faith, will you begin making decisions in the political arena and in the socioeconomic arena and in the cultural arena according to the highest and best of your faith? And oh, by the way, your peace tradition, if you care to go back and read primary sacred text, is remarkably similar to the peace tradition of your enemy. So how is it that we can use our faith as a portal and as a vehicle towards a much deeper conversation, and then to practical problem solving based on our awareness and our understanding that we are created equal in the eyes of God? And so it's at that moment then, whether we're working with the chief negotiator of the Palestinian Authority or the chief negotiator of the Israeli government, or we're working with the bishop of the Episcopal Church of the Middle East, or the archbishop of the Anglican Church of the Middle East, or whether we're working with Palestinian and Israeli parents who have suffered the loss of children to the conflict. It's not until we get to the heart that true transformation begins. We have the Oslo Accords, we have Wye River, we have Camp David, but those are pieces of paper that have been drafted by Armani suits and Mercedes-Benzes. And you bring those pieces of paper back home, and it's clear that people are not prepared to live together in peace. Because the idea of faith-based diplomacy and faith-based Abrahamic reconciliation has not been socialized in their respective societies. And so it's the work of Pachis Project and all of its strategic partners to initiate, conduct, facilitate, lead that conversation so that indigenous leaderships, whether they're elite government or elite religious leaders, or they are civil society leaders, or they are grassroots leaders, can have an understanding of the empowerment that is long theirs through their sacred text. And then from their own perspectives, then to begin to create that peace that will be bridge building. There are so many people to thank. This is not the work of one man. This is the work, however, and I would challenge you to think of it this way, of a higher power. I'm no smarter. I'm no more gifted. I'm no more spiritual. And yet the work that we do is successful. It changes hearts. And so, being the tie-dyed person I am, I give credit to where credit is due. and that's to the glory of God. I deeply want to thank again the support that I get from the Strauss Institute, from the, I don't know if it's spiritual support, but there is an awful lot of heart support from alumni and friends of the work that we do. And so it's a shout out to all of you for your support of this work. And lastly, I and my colleagues thank you again, to the board of directors and to the membership of the Association for Conflict Resolution for this very important recognition. Thank you very much.